back to another episode of ENTRE-VERSE, powered by BVC ED CELL. With us, we have Karan Sharma, a young entrepreneur who started his journey at the age of 16 and co-founder of many brands such as Gone Case, Homie, Week 8, etc. And currently, he is a co-founder at Vibe. Firstly, thank you, sir, for joining us today. It's a great pleasure having you on our show. Hi, Karan. So, if you had to introduce yourself, how would you introduce yourself to our crowd?
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Karan. I started working when I was 16 years old. I've run around five successful startups, out of which, of course, two have also failed in between. So I would call them successful because I've learned a lot from it, right? Right now, I am working and the founding team at Wild, which is basically world's first social currency card that basically helps you monetize your Instagram following for real cash. Right. So that's about it. Other than this, I have been, a military kid. My dad was in the Indian Navy. So I've stayed in eight cities all my life. And I've been a nomadic child as well. So that means that I've not stayed in one place constantly, of course, like any other military kid, And it's been an exciting journey. Yeah, it's helped me make more friends across continents. It's helped me, be in touch with people that I haven't met in a lot of years as well, and it's helped me gain respect for people that I also meet now, knowing the fact that when I of course was younger, I didn't know that I'll even meet my friends again, because I was really young. Like when you're in like eighth or ninth standard, you don't really know that will you be meeting your city best friends again in a new city, because you go to a new school, you start from scratch, everything, all of that happens. So yeah, that's about it from me, but I'm super excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
So, as you told, you started your journey at the age of 16 and were new to the world of entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference in the way you perceived entrepreneurship back then and now?
So I think when I started off, right, it was very funny because I started off when I was in Chennai. My dad was posted in Chennai, and there was an application called Ask FM. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, because for our generation, it was a very big thing in between. There was a hype of an application, right? So I think you guys might probably know Clubhouse, because
Yeah, we do.
in your generation of wave, Clubhouse became really big, right?
Yeah.
And then I believe there's one more app. I forgot the name. It's like Snapchat, I think, but you can just send one snap a day. Because I don't know, but my interns in my office keep talking about how cool it is, because I also look after growth in the company, so I get to know what's happening around, right? So when I started off when I was 16, it was just more of like me knowing people in Bombay, because I had Ask FM, one platform, and I had BlackBerry Messenger, right? You could talk to people, you could add people without having their mobile numbers as well. So I actually made a lot of online friends. I've also, I mean, I'm pretty shameless about it, but I've also used dating apps to my advantage in knowing people, right? I've actually used like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, all of those good apps out there in terms of getting to know people in the same city. Because like I said in the start, it's pretty tough to go out and make friends, right? Even
Yeah.
if you're in the military, right? You end up staying in one place for so long that you are confined to one society, which is one community, right? You making friends outside is really tough unless you're studying in a school outside, which wasn't my case. So I knew that if I need to understand what's happening in the world outside, I need to go out there and get what I need. So back to when I started, I made these friends online, a couple of friends online, and they just told me that, hey, we're importing phone cases from China, and do you want to do something? And I mean, before that, I'd never even been to Bombay, right? So I was in Chennai, they were in Bombay. I made these set of friends who said that काम करते हैं साथ में, and I mean, we were all studying. Nobody knew what entrepreneurship is, because in my family, nobody was doing business, of course. Like my mom is a makeup artist, and she was a makeup artist as well. But in terms of working, there's nothing in the family that inspired me to go out there and work, because of course we had huge houses.
Yeah.
I've had the privilege of staying with two, three house help as well. There would be a didi, a bhaiya, everything. So
Yeah.
everything for me was there. I was like, why do I want to step out of the comfort zone and do it? So, I met these people online. They started telling me that, this is your target for the month. It was very random. It was like, you sell 10 cases a month, and we'll Google. And also Google Pay wasn't there back then,
Yeah.
right? Like a lot of tech things that we think today exist were very non-existent for most of us around 10, 11 years back, right? So I would, maintain a very basic Excel sheet. Even Google Sheet didn't exist, I think, back then. Even if it did, I did not know about it. Right, we were pretty young, right? So I would, get these cases online, and I would have not even seen these cases. None of them were even shipped to me, honestly. Right. So I found these people, I made these online friends, and I would just sell it to them saying, hey, wow, this is really cool. Right. And also I always had a perspective, like a thinking in my head where I wanted to, try out everything in life. Right. In that case, I also had an age, like 23 was my age, where I was like, I can do whatever I want in whatever work field. And then I figure out what I really like doing. Right, which is a little not so cool for a lot of parents as well. And I've
Yeah.
obviously, parents aren't cool with it, but my parents were pretty supportive about it. Right. So how I looked at stuff back then, where I was doing it just for time pass, saying ki, hey, I'm getting bored after school hours, because if I stick to textbook knowledge, it's pretty tough. And because of my boredom, because of me not knowing people in Chennai, because I mean, a lot of South Indians don't like North Indians. I don't know if you guys know that. But for me, school was a little tough as well. Like, I didn't make a lot of friends because most of them would speak the local language. And
True.
even if I tried learning a local language, which my brother is aced pretty well, by the time I learn it, I have to again get transferred to a different place. Dad gets posted, so you have to move as well, right? So back then for me, it was just to learn about things, to understand that, wow, this is how you make money. Because of course, dad has an income coming in, right? Plus, he'll have a pension as well because he's a government employee, right? I knew that, okay, if I want to start, let me just start doing different things. So how I looked at it back then was more of like, ki chalo paisa banate hai. But for me today, it's more about actually, like, educating more people around me, so that you can create smarter people around you that are not only helping you but also help each other when they go out of your company or wherever they are. Right. So that's how I look at both the ages. But definitely 16 years of working, I mean, 16 years old was more exciting. Versus now, there's of course more pressure, there's more targets. It's, you kind of know that this is also paying your bills and everything as well, right? So it's very important to work more seriously at this age. And of course, failures, they kind of come to us even when you're 16, even when you're 27, even if you're 50, you'll still have the same problems pop up to you. So that's very important to keep going ahead, learning from the mistakes and doing it. So yeah.
So, so like you told, you started at the age of 16 and were
Yeah.
new to all of it and were scared. Weren't you concerned about the safety because you met people online and then you're
Hmm.
selling and they are
I think
talking
that
about
time social media was also new. So
Exactly. So
your
for the platform for me was BlackBerry, honestly, which is BBM.
yeah,
And I remember fighting with my mom because I forgot the phone. I think I had a Nokia back then. And then I fought with my mom saying, BlackBerry is the new cool stuff. So, I remember, I think I got my brother's phone. I would call it secondhand because I got it from my brother. I got a BlackBerry, and back then there was subscription where, you would pay 400 rupees a month, and your internet was unlimited. Right. And
yeah,
back then, even internet wasn't fast. There was no speed. Right. So it was a lot of issues, obviously. But meeting people online, I knew that it was more transactional for me, that even if I'm talking to people online, if I don't meet them also, it's okay, because they've also BlackBerry Messenger was, I think the concept that WhatsApp also copied, making sure that everyone should have a chatting app, because BBM already existed. So there you could put a status, you could do a lot of things. There was a small feed also inside the app as well. So I would keep posting about, I would change my DP to a phone case, saying ki, hey, this is a new stuff. And also, if a new iPhone is launching, right, back then there weren't many apps out there that were delivering as well, and nobody even trusted these apps more, versus a person selling it, right? And I didn't even know Bombay. I didn't know that there are markets in Bombay where people can buy and like get these same cases. I had no idea, because I thought that, wow, people are challenging me. So I would talk to a person and they were like, what do you do? And also I said, this is my side business and stuff. So it started off from there, which was very funny as well. So yeah, that's about it.
yeah, BlackBerry was like the new orange or the new
Ex-
black
ex-
in the market. Like everybody had it at that
Exactly, it
time.
was it was it was very cool. So I used all of that to my advantage. In fact, like, people would use it for texting, getting to know other people, and I don't know, dating and all of that stuff. I would use it for work, right? So everywhere at the back of my head, I knew कि अच्छा इससे मुझे काम निकलवाना है and stuff. And I think, I don't know, it wasn't taught to me because I have not gone to a business school or something as such, right? And when you're 16, you're not even taught about business, right? It's just something that I was like, wow, this is something so cool. Like, there's money in my bank. Let me, like, actually go to. And back then, if you guys don't, I don't know if you know Freecharge. There's a company called Freecharge. It still exists though, but back then in the days, Freecharge, if you recharge your mobile from a website, They would give you like free burger, McDonald coupons, and ice cream coupons, and all of that. So, I started making money. I started using, transacting for my, like my mom and dad, I would recharge their phones as well. I would take money from them, obviously. And then I would also, go out on free charge and be like, wow, recharge a number for 300, 400 for talk time, because there was no unlimited stuff, right? So I would recharge that. And then at the end of the day, I would be like, wow, this is so cool that, I'm getting a burger coupon, and they would physically ship it to you. This wasn't like a scratch card that, you get digitally today. They would send you a coupon code saying order above 100 on McDonald's and get an ice cream for free, or a Coke for free, and all of that stuff. And if it was, I think, with shopping as well, that, you shop for 1,000 rupees, you get 500 off. So I
Yeah.
started giving that to my dad, saying, ki, I have gotten you something for free now. Now you take me for shopping. Right. So it kind of helped me in my own way. This was me doing business in the family, where my dad didn't really know ki acha wow. And I think it was pretty cool. I mean, he didn't spend anything extra on me anyways. It was just a smarter thing of me knowing that, oh wow, this is so cool. So, being aware about your environment, of knowing how things are around you, kind of helps you also, in terms of knowing that, okay, wow, this is how the world is thinking, right? Because if you're thinking in your own way and you're not updated with what's happening around, you will be behind the world. So I used to keep myself updated, with the basic apps and everything as well. Ki, wow, this is something really cool that's come out. So yeah.
So I totally agree with you when you said knowing the marketplace is important. So if you knew someone who is starting out a business, and would you suggest them to get know your market first, or would you be like just take the risk?
What would be the tips you would give a entrepreneur or a budding entrepreneur?
So I think someone who's honestly starting out, I would say study the market a little. See, there are two ways of, for example, looking at competition, right? Today, if you want to, let's say, make something like, I think something as crowded market as, let's say, chips, right? Because you know that there's Lay's, there's Balaji, there are so many,
Too
there's
many
Diamond,
brands.
you can name 50 brands, and I'm sure there are local brands as well that I don't know about, but they're doing good revenue in a way where they're already profitable, right? Now there are two ways to look at it, right? Either you look at it as a competition, saying, wow, there's so much competition, or you look at it from a consumption perspective. Ki, wow, so many people are eating it. So you have two perspectives, and of course the yin and yang of your brain, which will always think that, okay, this is right, or the other one will say ki nahi, ye sahi hai, right? You have to obviously take a decision. So if you are getting into a market, understand that, okay, if someone started 6 months before me, how is it that they started, right? You'll obviously, because of the whole online world right now, you'll have a lot of articles, you'll understand a lot of things. You'll in fact even have access to the founder in some or the other way, right? You might as well just go somewhere and probably I think message him on LinkedIn as well. He might
Yeah.
reply to you, or you send him a cold email, he might reply to you. You kind of never know. Back in the days, कुछ नहीं था ये सब, emails नहीं थे, landline numbers होते थे and everything, right? So things are much easier today, honestly. And from an understanding starting of perspective, it would be know your market first, right? Second thing would be, I think, knowing the people that you want to start with as well, right? Because you might be thinking great, like I'm sure all of us here have great ideas. My istri wala, the guy who presses my clothes, right, like the one who takes my clothes, he has great ideas saying mujhe ye karna hai, mujhe wo karna hai, right? It comes to execution. We all
Yeah.
can think,
Very true.
बोलने के लिए बहुत है, but करने के लिए उससे ज़्यादा होता है, right? And the way you do it is actually is what will define. So it would be, first would be, like understanding where you're getting into. Is it a viable place? Second would be projecting the finances in a way that, if you want to start off, right? How do you start off on a smaller revenue or something of that sort? Like, for example, if you're starting off with AI, for example, in today's market, if you don't have the skill set, you will need the money. So if you start off only saying कि मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है, for example, you'll have to figure out some or the other way. If your idea is really kick-ass, there are of course investors and the government's also backing a lot of startups today. So you need to first understand that, okay, is this doable or not, and then take it forward. And time is very crucial, right? Because if you're staying in a new city, because I don't live with family in Bombay. I've been independent from the past, I think, 6-7 years now. My family doesn't live in Bombay, right? So I know that I have more expenses. I have like a clock running behind me every time, and the first of every month for me is rent time, right? If you don't have that pressure, if you want, you start off really small in your own city, you understand. And you also come to know, for example, my previous startup, which was Team Up, we were selling frozen food, right? So what we did, frozen food market, so we know, we all got research, we all
Yeah.
understood the competitors, right? So the other co-founder, Archit, what he did was he sat down, on Swiggy Zomato. He's literally sat down for like I think a month or two. He used to put the location on different places. You can change locations, right? and he would just write down the name of restaurant that was selling momos, right? And then he would see ranking wise, ki, Acha, wow, I want to start a frozen food momo company. How is it that I actually do market research? So there are multiple ways. Like he did was, khola Swiggy Zomato, pada kya kya hai, likha exactly, reviews likhe, comments likhe. He saw ki how many people are even reacting to it. How many are restaurants? How many are QSRs? How many are all of that stuff. So then he came to a conclusion saying, okay, great. If I launch in this area today, I have these many potential people. Now, how you reach out to people is again now that's a different battle to fight. But everywhere you'll have a lot of stoppages, right? So you start with one thing, you go really small, and then you go really small till a point where you understand that hey, I have reached till a point. You get the confidence also. Then you come saying, okay, wow, now I can go to either an investor or I can pick up money from my friends and family, which is of course the easiest thing, right? When you go to them saying, I have a 6 months backing research, this is my research, which is it could be a kachra research also, right? Honestly, you just need to understand that hey, this is so crazy for you to convince your family that your dad will like, okay beta, here, take XYZ rupees of money.
Yeah.
If your family can't provide that, your friends will say, hey, take it. If not friends, relatives will come in saying ki, Arey, chalo itna mehnat kiya hai, let me give him a chance, right? And that's how all small companies have started. In fact, they have not started off as unicorns. They've all started off with
Yeah.
even the founder, there's also a lot of times where the founder doesn't have a lot of knowledge about the market, but he'll hire a great team because he has the money, right? So it depends on what you're getting into. But I think answering your question, right, would be, you first understand what market you're getting into. Understand how is it that you can, on a very grassroots level, understand, right, what it is. Like the second step for us at Steam Up was that when we started the brand, nobody knew about us, right? We've stood in stores for 12 hours. We've spoken to each customer rather than hiring promoters or salespeople and all. We were the salespeople. We were the accounting people. We were the HR. We were the delivery people. Everything, right? When things reached a level, we were like, wow, this is great. And then things expanded. Obviously, we got investors in later saying, wow, you're doing great, and everything started off as well. So, you start really small. Don't be scared of things. Things will always go haywire. Learn to live your life as well. Don't go so bad and deep into, ki, acha, matlab, this is so deep for me that I can't, like I can't go back or I wasted my time. Be easy on yourselves as well. So I think, yeah, that's it. That's how you start. You start really small in bits and pieces, and things will fall into place as long as you're doing the right things.
That's a clever way to manage your finances,
Exactly.
Yeah.
sales,
Yeah.
marketing, सब हम ही कर ले.
So the other
Exactly.
question that popped up to my mind, since you said
Mm-hmm.
you're a Navy kid and you've been in a very confined space and
Mm-hmm.
you haven't been very stable at a place. So how did
Mm-hmm.
you find stability in your job or whatever you started,
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur?
So I think for me it was finding the balance, honestly. Even today, even today, if I talk about it, the friends that I had back in my school days, I've over a period of time upgraded from people, right? Like I surround myself with the right people.
Yeah.
It's taken me really long, but I know the right people today. I have the right mentors that are not charging me any money because I also can't afford it. But like, when you go to them as a genuine person saying, ki, hey, I am XYZ, I need help in XYZ of my life, they'll help you. There's nobody who will not. And then now there are people reaching out to me saying the same thing, saying, ki, hey, I need help with my startup, I need help with this, I want to grow as a person, I want to do this, XYZ, right? So what I've learned is what I'm also telling people about it. But back to the question again is how you gain stability and stuff is, you reach a point where you don't have expectations as such. You kind of go with the flow, thinking, ki, acha, what is the worst that will happen, right? If you don't make friends, it's fine. You make friends online. If you don't make friends online, you'll make friends offline, right? If you're a very introverted person, you start with your friends that you have existingly, and then you get to know more and more people, right? And I
Yeah.
would genuinely say surrounding yourself with the right people who motivate you to do the right things and who are also in a way, growing the way you are trying to grow in life. So you kind of there for each other. So that kind of helps a lot.
How did you deal with failures and upliftments in your journey?
So, failures obviously gets anyone sad, whether it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, whether it's a relationship, whether it's grades, whether it's family, whether it's you making a plan for a vacation and it failing, right? Most of it, I mean, it happens to us on a daily basis. Like, I get rejection every day from a rickshawalas also, where he doesn't want to drop me to the station or to my destination because he's like, nahi, bahut dur hai ya nahi jana hai. So, I can't sit there getting really sad saying, yeah, what is this? Like, if I sit there thinking, wow, this has changed my life or whatever, or I've wasted my time, in a way, failure, I think because of a lot of failures, I've become a very good projector of problems, right? I can forecast problems today, the ones that I know in my, let's say, work department or even in the company, right? I know that, okay, if this is a problem that's going to arise, we already sit on it, pehle se ki, acha, this is how you firefight the solution before it even happens, right? So that in a way helps you with failures a little. But if it's failure that you're trying really hard, let's say it could be a marketing campaign that, you spend months on, you spend money on everything, it didn't perform, it's fine. It's completely fine, right? You need to know that zindagi chal rahi hai logo ki. What you've done is you've just learned from there. It might not be relevant, but that one thing will help you, understand 10 other things in the company. So if you don't do those, if you don't learn those 10 other things, you need to take that one shot. But and also, I think, I don't know if you guys have heard of a couple of success stories of companies. I think FedEx and all. I
Yeah.
think the founders literally taken the money, like the last money left, and he's gone and gambled with the money, and then he's won a lottery ticket from there. Of course, that's not how luck works for everyone. You need to do it in small bits and pieces. And I would generally say that don't put your eggs in one basket in terms of failure. You have multiple strategies, you have multiple funnels where if you're trying to do 10 things and one thing works out of it, you focus more on it, you hire a team because you know ki yahan se paisa aa raha hai. You might have nine things where you then sit and think that, okay, am I even optimizing it well? Right? It could be that, there are other things that might get you like bigger returns and stuff. But if you yourself aren't convinced, saying, okay, you've hired someone for it, and they're doing it for the sake of money, or the motivation could not be that getting that task done, then that's your failure. It's not the task failure, right? So that, in a way, when you divide it down and you get into the micromanagement of failure thing, it's all solvable. Trust me. You know कि ऐसे नहीं होगा तो वैसे होगा. So yeah, that's how it is.
So basically, at the end of the day, the quote you say yourself is all is well and just move on.
Exactly. I think, yeah, and like I said, right, I believe in stoicism. Even if like my center of happiness lies within me. I don't care if someone cancels on me for a movie or a dinner or whatever last minute. I'll be like, I'll move on from it in seconds because I know that there's a bigger thing happening and waiting for me out there, right? So the more you have expectations out of yourself for a situation, which might go wrong, even a relationship for that matter,
Yeah.
even if things go wrong, you will be hurt. It's fine to be like fine to be sad and fine to cry and everything as well, right? But if you are taking too long to recover from it, it's going to screw you on a long term basis. And you need to figure out that what keeps you happy. Like before you even start a business, right? You need to know yourself first. You need to know that, okay, what is it that's keeping me sad? What is it that keeps me happy? It could be ice cream also. Like whenever I get sad, I go to Theobroma and I have brownies, or I have, I order a ice cream or something because I feel happy, right? In a way. So everyone has their own thing. For a couple of my friends, they'll probably be like, I've switched off my phone because that makes me happy, right? You first figure out yourself first before going out there to the world and saying that, hey, let me build a business because I want to build it, but you don't know who you are first. That's going to backfire, trust me. You will somewhere or the other have issues saying, okay, wow, I'm working 18 hours a day, but like now what? Now I'm compromising on other things, right? Because your expectation out of your friends, your family for you might be very different versus what you end up doing as well. So find the right balance, honestly, which will help you a lot.
Nice. That is a very
Now
great
that we're
explanation.
Yeah, now that we're talking about balancing things,
Yeah.
can you give out a few suggestions and pointers to the younger generation of entrepreneurs, like how to manage
Hmm.
themselves financially and emotionally?
Okay. So I think if I talk about emotionally, right, I think I would generally say that self care for yourself is very important, right? If you end up eating good food, if you end up getting good sleep, if you end up taking care of yourself well, I think that would help you a lot because you know that you wake up fresh, right? How that's helped for me is that I sleep really early, I wake up really early. So my self care is that I figured out that I'm a early morning person. Of course, not in the monsoons or winters because you end up waking up very lazy, right? Because
Agreed.
I think even right now in Bombay it's monsoon. So me waking up at 6 o'clock is so tough because my flatmate, he sleeps at 5 in the morning. Okay, he'll wake up at like 11 or 12 in the afternoon. His cycle is completely the opposite, right? And half of my friends are party people where they start partying from Thursday to Sunday, right? So it's very important for me to know that, hey, that is a life out there, but what I choose today is what will find me. Because you'll also have friends, you'll have good friends, you'll have bad friends, right? If you choose yourself to be with bad friends, with bad company and stuff, that's going to backfire for you really badly, right? So I think self care would be the first one, right? I think second one would be if you want. I mean, I'm a big fan of yoga as well. So to handle stress, I do meditation and yoga as well. So that kind of helps me in the whole emotional phase. Then I think the next one would for me would be I think managing your social networks really well, right? How is it that you maintain relationships with your friends and your family, and how involved is your family in your day-to-day basis, right? Because if people that aren't involved, or your parents have no idea about what you're doing, it could be wrong as well. So you gotta always have some or the other one checking up on you, right? And I think last, for me in emotional would be, I think it would be, how do I say it? Wait, let me just think it through, right? I don't know if you guys believe in this, but where you've come from today, like if you look at yourselves 1 year back, you will see progress,
Yeah.
right? So for me, emotionally, it's to also understand that hey, I am at the moment looking at a lot of personal development of mine, where I make sure that I am upskilling myself every now and then, because the world is going really fast, right? Like if you like, I think when I was in 12th, I just remembered that like I was just calculating in my head when I was going for board exams and stuff. I was like, how many kids every year in my, let's say in my batch, like let's say for example, how many schools are there in India, right? Let's just say for example, it's 1 lakh schools in India, just to keep the math easy, right? Then let's say 1 lakh schools in India. There are, if I calculate, every school has 12 standard. They have 12A, 12B, 12C, 12D, right? I would believe that there are so many students giving your 12th exam boards that the competition out there for an IIT or IIM or whatever out there is there in the world is so tough. When you look at the population, you're like, oh my god, like I'm not only competing with my classmates, because when you go out to the real world, you're not
You're competing
only
with a million
exactly
people.
competing with the real world, right? And if I think of
Yeah.
like a place like Kota, where there are human machines, right, where there are students studying for like 18, 20 hours a day and stuff, right? It becomes so tough when you're just thinking. And I was very young, I didn't need to have that thinking also ki wow, like I'm not only competing with my top 3 students in my class or the teacher who loves them. Board exams mein wo kuch nahi matter karne wala. If we've had complaints of saying that hey, teacher has given this student extra marks because there's good relation, or her handwriting or his handwriting is good, that doesn't work in the real world,
Yeah.
right? So I
Very true.
think personal development, for me, is very important, where I understand that okay, if I think I'm doing my best, out of me in the world, who is doing the best? When I think of IIT IIMs, also I think of Harvard and Stanford, right? So it's a never ending rat race technically when you think of it, right? So if you're not upskilling yourself every year, it's going to be a big problem for you. And I would genuinely say emotionally also, right, that you need to first figure out what is it your strength is in, right? If you're being pushed to doing a wrong thing which you don't like, or your family is forcing you into it, of course people have different problems as well, right? Before you go out to the world and figure out what you want to do, you pick that one thing out, right? You pick that one thing out so well that you upskill yourself so much on it that there's nobody in the company or in the world that you think will do it better than you, right? It could be a small skill of you probably doing email marketing, right? It could be you doing SEO. It could you being doing marketing as well, right? If you don't figure out that for yourself, that I have learned this one skill, that one skill may I know that I'm 99.9% better than the other person that's going to come in, you have nothing to worry about. Trust me. This I'm saying more from a like a work perspective. If you're working somewhere, but if you're building your own thing, you have to be good at everything. If you can't be a 10 on 10 at everything, you got to be a 7 on 10 on an average, right? So that's pretty important from the emotional thing, right? And what was the second question? I think I didn't get it.
Financial.
Okay, so I think
Financial.
financially, right? Even for me, when I moved out, the number one problem for me was budgeting, right? I know that I can live, let's say, on a 50,000 salary. I know I can even live on a 5 lakh salary. I know I can even live on a 5,000 rupee salary, right? When I look at it from a person, when I look at it the way, let's say, my cook comes, right? Because I've sat down and I've tried understanding people as well. There are people living their lives on a 10,000 rupee a salary as well, right? Why is it that when it comes to my budgeting, I think that I need to go spend, or I need to be the cooler guy in the gang? It's not cool, right? What you're doing is you're trying to get yourself into debt, right? You might spend on your friends, you might take a girl out or a guy out to impress them. You might spend half of your money to on someone who might not even matter to you 6 months later. Which is, I don't know if you guys realize this, but the people you've grown up with in school, right? If you're not there with them in the college also, you'll forget them, right? I don't remember the last time I met a school friend. I mean, I do meet them once a year. वो भी गलती से कि कोई एयरपोर्ट पे मिल गया, या कोई someone's randomly making a dinner plan, and they're like, oh, Karan is also in Bombay, but he lives on the other side, because most of them live in Kolaba, which is South Bombay. I live in like the center side, which is Bandra side, right? So if I look at it from that perspective, I'll be like, oh, I need to impress these people, so let me go spend. So I think budgeting for anyone, honestly, is very important, right? To micromanage your finances and everything. So when you know that, okay, in your bank, you, let's say, get 10 rupees a month, right? How do you cut it down to expenses? I've given 10 rupees as an example. It's not as a proper budget, but you break it down. If it's 10,000, you make it 10 rupees and you then cut it down. Saying 2,000 rupees I need for food. 3,000 could be for, I think, there are
Groceries.
multiple expenses, right? So you need to know where you're spending, and you need to, in your own head, know that, okay, this is my ROI, right? If you're spending on something, right? I'm not saying don't spend on your friends. It could be you spending on someone who might be a mentor for you. It could be you spending on someone who might be an investment for you. Because I invest in people a
Yeah.
lot, right? Even today, when we hire in the company, I don't think most of us go through the CV in detail, honestly. But I don't know, when I was in college, I was just conditioned that, hey, your CV needs to look really cool, right? So when I break
Yeah.
it down in terms of the hiring thing, I care more about the attitude of the person today. And I think most of the startups and entrepreneurs look at that as well, right? Your CV might be shit. Your CV might have nothing also. That doesn't mean that I won't hire you, right? A lot of interns that work with us, they come to us and, they message us on LinkedIn saying, ki, hey, hamara CV nahi hai. That doesn't mean I'm going to say goodbye because I don't know the person, right? I'll still call them to the office. I'll understand them. And if I have a lot of tasks or I think a lot of doubts with me in my head with them, I would give them a lot of tasks saying, hey, if this is how you could do it, how would you do it, right? And the same thing, I mean, because ChatGPT and all of these apps are out, right? It's become really tough. But then there are again AI catches. I had a very interesting intern who wrote like one 20-pager thing about marketing, and I was so impressed. I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, intern mat ban, tu full time aja. And then I just, in the back of my head, I was like, and then Yash, one of the other co-founders of Wildlife, showed it to him, and he's like, bro, just, like, let's just run AI catchers, because there are AI catchers as well, right? Whatever you talk about, or whatever you read or whatever you write as well, right? You have AI catchers, which will tell you that this is 99% AI bot, right? And then when you ask the same question to the person, whatever assignment that he so-called, researched and made, and the same person is coming to you in the office, and you hide the report and say, "Ki, acha, तूने क्या क्या किया मुझे बता," right? They'll be blank because
Yeah.
they've copy pasted, they've read it thrice, saying, "हाँ, English कोई problem नहीं है. I've written the company का name, I've made it very easy and stuff," right? So when you catch all of that, it becomes really tough. For if someone is genuinely there out there, in terms of helping someone, or someone's really interested in learning as well, you hire them the same day, right? Okay, but sorry, back to the topic. I think budgeting was the first one. Sorry, I've completely deviated from it. I think the other one for me would be saving, saving money if you can, even if you're saving, I don't know, 1,000 rupees a month, right? And you're investing it. You start with stock markets, or you start with FDs, whatever it is, right? Or you give it back to your family saying, "Ki, hey, dad, मुझे investment नहीं आता है आज, तो can you take my money and give it to me at a percentage?" Right? I remember when I've had these thoughts in my head saying, I just want to take 1 lakh from my dad and then tell him, ki, dad, I'll give you 1.5 lakhs in 6 months. I know in the back of my head ki nahi hone wala. I'll take the 1 lakh, I'll go happy saying, wow, I have money in the bank, right? When I was pretty young, thinking ki chalo, I'll go to my dad saying ki papa paisa de do, main kaam kar karke leke aunga. It doesn't work like that. You need to first earn something for yourself, where you understand what's happening as well, and then you invest the money, right? Then I think the next point on financial strength would be, educate yourself really well. If you don't know if you're starting off something specifically, if you don't know what the task is, don't expect to hire someone and, think that, अच्छा ये मेरा काम करने वाले हैं इतने पैसों में, right? You might hire like a financially sound person, but if they don't know how to make a basic stuff like a balance sheet or whatever it is, right? They might say that, hey, मुझे marketing भी आता है, for example, marketing, but they can't come up with solutions. You will have an issue. You need to know the basics. You need to know that, hey, this is what I'm expecting, right? Then I think I think I've already spoken about debt, because it just came up in my head as well. Ki don't get into the whole debt trap in terms of trying to express and impress people as well. And if you think you are living on a very low income, or if you think that you aren't satisfied, your expenses are really high, then you look at multiple sources of incomes, right? Today it's so easy. There are so many people. For example, we had an intern, Santosh Kiran, who was sitting in one corner of India, which was near Chennai. He was an intern for us. He was doing 2 3 internships as well, but he was so sharp and so smart. Till date, I haven't gotten a replacement for him because, of course, he had to go full time and everything. So he moved on because this wasn't his industry as well, right? And he had a couple of other interests as well, so we had to let go of him. But if you are not planning, your team as well, your if your team also leaves you midway, your finances will go for a toss, right? So I think these are a couple of pointers that I think were relevant for you guys. But yeah, that's about it.